probably met Paulie in my Lost Horizon days when I first was discovering local bands. Back then, to me, local music was all kind of the same thing in my mind. The Lost Horizon was basically a scene in and of itself. I wasn't really aware of the separation of the various scenes. This was the early 90s. While I eventually gravitated to the hardcore scene, I think what was kind of special about Paulie is that he maintained that all encompassing perception of the local scenes and kind of music in general. He would shift between scenes and found himself welcome pretty much everywhere, even in a time where there was a fair amount of animosity between various scenes. And that was just because he was a genuinely nice guy who was super excited to be a part of things and just be in the mix. I honestly didn't realize how much of a constant Paulie was in my life in Syracuse until he was gone. Besides being someone who I saw almost daily when I was working at Soundgarden or bouncing at Armory High or just attending various types of shows, he was also documenting decades of Syracuse music history. It didn't really register for me until now that my first encounter with Paulie must have been through his tapes. I used to go to a shop called Desert Island, if I remember correctly, and then there was Oliver's up on SU Hill, and I'd buy these bootleg tapes of bands I was just finding out about, and it was before I'd even gone to any concert of any kind, let alone hardcore shows or anything like that. And now knowing that my band is kind of one of those tapes now in a way is pretty mind-blowing, and I'm truly honored. I'm excited to know that Paulie cared enough about us to record us. It feels really cool. Um, I think we can all learn something from Paulie, which is let yourself love the stuff you love, really get into it, be obsessed with your obsessions, engage with them as intensely as you can, because Paulie knew how he wanted to spend his time on this earth, and now the world has this treasure trove of time capsules. Not everybody is lucky enough to leave behind a legacy, and Paulie is. Cheers to Paulie, a pillar of Syracuse lore forever. You'll be missed.
This is Paulie's Vault.
Paulie's Vault is brought to you by The Lost Horizon, Syracuse's longest running, most consistent, and all-around best rock and roll club. I'm John Bukowski, and welcome back to Paulie's Vault. We have an awesome show for you today for all of you old hardcore kids and punk rockers. We have Black SS, New Year's Day 2010 at The Lost Horizon. For those of you who are from Syracuse, you know how big of a deal the New Year's Day hardcore show is and has been for many, many years. The fact that this Black SS recording exists makes me very, very excited. And you heard Chuck do the intro to it, and here's what Chuck had to say about the show.
This was January 1st, 2010 at the Lost Horizon. It was a New Year's show. We played with Born Low, Unfinished Business, The Helm, Oaken Bone, Violent Side, Naysayer, Cruel Hand, Maximum Penalty, Down to Nothing, Forfeit, Death Threat, and Trapped Under Ice. I don't remember if every band made it or played, but that's who's on the flyer. I believe this was the second time we ever played The Lost Horizon, the first time being about a month earlier for the Another Breath record release for God Complex. It was always kind of surreal to play at the Lost Horizon and play a New Year's show because so much of my formative years were centered around that place and shows like that. This set is short and sweet, as hardcore should be. It's made a little shorter, I'm guessing because Tommy Rott broke a string. The clue being this comedically long break in the music. Thanks to Tommy Rott for giving me a chance to catch my breath. Finally, thanks to John for keeping Paulie's memory alive and spreading his work far and wide.
Yo, you got your boob tube in? Get your fucking boob tubes out of here.
6, 4, 5, 3, 2, 1.
Only one clap for you, man.
We sure could. You sure can.
Boy, should go for that one.
Just go right there. I got probably give me wings.
Starting with whatever.
All right. You get the bill is like $50.
That don't get money. Because you don't even go to our practice space anymore.
Alligators. Some Someone's like got a the people with the pierced nipples are the hardest workers. There's a fucking towel over his head with like big sunglasses and like a hat. And it's like I feel like I'm sick.
And credit adults.
Who are you?
I'm really psyched that there's so many people here that I've seen it. This is a 10 or 15 years ago. So, I really do have something special here. Well, you're going to have for another 10.
I smashed my ear. I smashed my hand directly on somebody's elbow or something. Elbow. Fuck that elbow. Some rude. Smashed her elbow off her hand. Well, that was very rude. You're very rude. Enjoy spaghetti, you're very rude. Enjoy spaghetti. Because you're rude.
I was wearing this face.
My spaghetti's taking somebody give me PCP so I can smoke it. Oh. Smoke PCP and I'd go out.
I'm like,
I'd smoke PCP and I would flip cars in the parking lot. I would fight them. I'd take their guns and I'd shoot myself with their guns. I would fight them. I would fight the police. And I would flip their police cars, their vehicles. Their police vehicles. I would fight their police vehicles. Where or when? Where? Double. Sit!
I think I saw that, and I thought you were a Pearl Jam fan.
Am I bleeding?
guys in the park. Out of their 5 albums. And I was sitting right there, waiting until I finally played it. And absolutely on stage though, too much people there. Landed right on this bitch's face and Kidminic, who I never met. I never met her. That's how I met her. Ended up living with her and a bunch of friends. She turned out to be the biggest card ever. And I've always held on to that memory like, yes. It's like my body knew that I wanted it.